Let's take you to developing news coming out of KZN as part of efforts to bolster crime-fighting initiatives there. Premier Thami Ntuli is currently presiding over the handing over of vehicles worth about 11 million rand to police. These cars will ultimately be handed over to Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. That briefing well underway. Let's listen in.
The following subcategories of crime fall within the category of robbery with aggravating circumstances, and some of them have indicated an increase, whilst others indicated a decrease for the period under review. Car jacking, indicating a decrease by 152 cases, which is negative 17.3%. Robbery at residential premises indicated a decrease by 14 cases, which is negative 1.0%. Robbery at non-residential premises indicated a decrease by 185 cases, which is negative 23.9%. Truck hijacking indicated a decrease by 12 cases, which is negative 0.25%. And a robbery of cash in transit indicated an increase by 3 cases. On the trio crimes, the following 5 police stations in the province contributed the highest amount of cases in volume for trio crimes and also appear within the national top 30 stations for the highest contributors. It is Inanda, Umlazi, Tuzuma, Verulem, and Festive. A total of 433 arrests were executed for trio crimes during the mentioned period. Cash in transit robberies remain a concern in the province. There were 8 incidents of cash in transit in the similar period in 2023-2024, whereas a total of 11 incidents were reported during the second quarter of 2024-2025 financial year. Analysis continue to indicate that most of the identified individuals operate across provincially. They operate in groups of between 5 to 18 members, depending on the target and the projected returns. Covert projects are registered by crime intelligence to address the groups or syndicates and are yielding positive results. With regard to car hijacking, the majority of the hijacked vehicles is used in the perpetration of other crimes, while other hijacked vehicles are used for spares and resale to second-hand dealers, which could be the sedan, hatchback, the coupe, the bakkies, panel vans, and mini taxis. On sexual offences, total sexual offences indicated a decrease by 52 cases, which is minus 2.0%. Analysis of the subcategories reflected the following trends. Rape decreased by 81 cases. Sexual assault increased slightly by 1 case. Attempted sexual offences increased by 24 cases. Conduct sexual offences increased slightly by 4 cases. A total of 1,539 arrests were executed for sexual offences during the mentioned period. Most of the rape cases are still being committed at the residence of either the victim or perpetrator or family or friend. The following 6 stations in the province contributed the highest number of cases in volume for rape cases and also appear within the national top 30 stations for the highest contributors, which is Inanda, Umlazi, Festive, Mountain Rise, Mpangeni, and Verulem. On the conduct-related crimes, conduct-related crimes indicated an increase by 135 cases. A total of 1,755 arrests were executed for conduct-related crimes during the mentioned period. On the property-related crimes, property-related crimes indicated a decrease by 1,153 cases. All the crimes under this category have contributed to the noted decrease. With regard to stock theft, a decrease of 171 cases was noted. However, it is important to note that the following 9 airport stations in the province contributed the highest amount of cases in volume for stock theft and also appear within the national top 30 stations for the highest contributors. The Clarkstad, Utrecht, Hlobane, Impenja, Osizweni, Mondlo, Vryheid, Ematsheni, the Plesleya. According to the intelligence, and arrests are effected, most of the stock thieves are local African males who collude with the local business people who own butcheries and shisanyamas. Further received information indicates that the meat from stolen stock is still a demand to black airport restaurants that are selling prime meat along the streets of the informal settlements and townships. The recipient of meat from a stolen stock usually places an order before meat is delivered, usually late at night or in the early hours of the morning. A total of 125 arrests were executed for stock theft during the reporting period. Then on the other serious crime indicates an increase by 662 cases. Fraud cases have contributed to the increase. A total of 4,141 arrests were executed for other serious crimes during the mentioned period. Crime detected as a result of police action. Crime detected as a result of police action, which is not part of 17 priority crimes, and where we wanted to see an upward trend, indeed indicate a downward trend of 57 cases. Drug-related crime contributed to the overall decline in this category by 356 arrests. The crime picture in general in the province in the second quarter 2024-2025 continues to depict a negative picture, which was the case even on the first quarter. Conduct crimes have contributed to the increase. Despite the noted increase, it must, however, be noted that the rate of increase has shown down, as it is also depicted on the ratio as per capita of the second quarter 2024-2025. It was also noted that the rate of stations from the province that are appearing on the national top 30 stations is either decreasing or remain on the same number, especially when assessing the provincial contribution to the conduct crimes as compared to the second quarter 2023-2024. It is also noted that our provincial priority crimes, murder, rape, stock theft, and trio crimes are continuing to depict a downward trend. This indicates that our focus and strategies are still yielding positive results, which will eventually influence the overall crime picture. On the stability overview, the worsening socio-economic conditions, poor service delivery to communities, and high unemployment levels remain as trigger factors contributing to a conducive environment for continued community mobilization around service delivery and opportunistic criminal activities. The trigger factors remain the challenges related to service delivery, as I've mentioned. They continue predominantly non-access to water, housing, poor road infrastructure, and electricity. Noted community frustrations leading to acts of violence and targeting of strategic routes, labor-related instability or poor working conditions, instability in the education sector, predominantly around NSFAS related issues at the tertiary level. Instability in the business and development sector attributed to, amongst other factors, existence of the construction mafia, blocking a smooth progress on such sectors. All the above dynamics are contributing directly and indirectly to crime situation, hence the crime picture. We appeal to communities to ensure that They engage their leadership in the municipalities and provincial government before embarking on a protest. On the societal and structural challenges, beyond policing, the statistics points to underlying societal issues that need to be addressed. The high rates of crime against women and children suggest a need for broader societal change, including shift in cultural and behavioral patterns, among others. This involves community engagement and education to foster environments where violence is not tolerated at all costs. We always emphasize that capping and conquering crime is not the role preserve of the police. In order to fight it successfully, community involvement is crucial because criminals do not descend from heaven like manna of biblical times. Instead, they are known by community members among whom they stay. Community members who harbor and protect criminals do so at their own peril. One day, the criminal will eventually turn against those who harbor and protect them. We also discourage women who withdraw GBV cases against perpetrators, expecting financial gains from withdrawing such cases. This derails and defeats the fight against GBV. Ladies and gentlemen, the Department of Community Safety and Liaison conducts regular stations evaluation and monitoring to assess the functionality of all 184 police stations across the province. Part of their findings during this assessment points out a common challenge of a notable shortage of vehicles needed by law enforcement officers to carry out their responsibilities of protecting the people of our province. The Provincial Executive Council made a decision to assist SAPS by donating vehicles which will be distributed to identified police stations across the province to enhance law enforcement capacity. It is common knowledge that our government is operating under extreme austerity measures due to the financial constraints being faced by the entire country. However, we are grateful that the provincial government has been able to prioritize funds to make this donation, and we believe it will go a long way to assist efforts to fight crime. The provincial government continues to make strides in the fight against crime in KwaZulu-Natal. On the 20th November 2024, we launched the KwaZulu-Natal Council Against Crime. This structure comprises different role players, including government, regional leaders, business, and civil society. The objective of the council is to jointly devise strategies for fighting crime in the province and continue to monitor the effectiveness of these strategies. The next meeting of the Council Against Crime will be in January, wherein the council will be finalizing an integrated crime fighting strategy to be implemented in the next 5 years. The Department of Community Safety and Liaison will continue to provide support to community safety structures which are crucial to community policing. The department continues to conduct induction workshops, constitutional review sessions, and audit to ensure the functionality and effectiveness of the community crime prevention structures. We want to reiterate our call to all members of the community to join our efforts and be proactive agents of a crime-free society. Community safety is indeed our collective responsibility. To ensure that maximum safety measures are put in place during the festive season and beyond, law enforcement has augmented deployment of police officers and resources at identified crime hotspots areas throughout the province. We are especially pleased to announce that 656 new police constables will be deployed to various police stations across the province. They will report for duty this coming Friday, 20 December 2024. Also, 198 RTI officers and 467 authorized officers together with 124 constables and metro police officers will be joining the ranks during the festive seasons. Integrated law enforcement operations will be conducted on a regular basis. We are closing ranks. We are sending a clear message that any lawlessness will not be tolerated. Working with the Border Management Authority and other JCPS cluster departments, we have strengthened operations at all ports of entry and border gates. We have also called for increased police visibility at areas that have been engulfed by deadly faction fights in our province. We are aware that many might see this festive season as an opportune time to coordinate revenge attacks, as many have returned to be with their families during the holidays. A special focus will be on the areas mainly affected by faction fights, including Nongoma, KwaNgqulu, Inqutu, the Loskop Escorti, and St. Paul at Mzimkhulu. This is to ensure that there will be no loss of lives as a result of faction fights during this festive season and beyond. On the food safety and regulation of Spaza shops, provincial government remains concerned about the deaths and the illness as a result of consuming expired foods and snacks purchased at Spaza shops that are mostly managed and run by the foreign nationals. On the 15th of November 2024, a special MUNIMEC was convened with all municipalities where standard bylaws were introduced. As government, we are expecting all Spaza shop owners to have registered their establishment by the 14th of December 2024. These registrations are still being processed by the municipalities. We are, however, concerned at the non-compliance that we have witnessed on our inspection of these businesses. In two Spaza shops that we visited in Kamalake, we were shocked to uncover rotten meat being kept in the refrigerator, expired baby food, and chips were also discovered. We will continue to conduct inspections of food handling facilities, manufacturers, the distributors, wholesalers, and retailers. The safety of our people remain our key priority. We applaud the Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi for decisive leadership by issuing an instruction to district joints to include these inspections and raids in their festive seasons safety plans. We also wish to applaud the Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi for the arrest, together with his members, for the arrest they are making, because in each crime category we report, we are able to report also the number of the arrests that have been made. As you know, KwaZulu-Natal is a tourist destination, and we have already started welcoming visitors. We have launched our festive season safety plan in October 2024, and we wish to assure the residents and visitors of our continued efforts to make KwaZulu-Natal a safer and welcoming environment during this period and beyond. Members of the media, on behalf of the provincial government, I wish to thank all the brave and courageous men and women in law enforcement and community policing structures for their dedication to the noble cause of eradicating a crime. We appreciate the sacrifices that you make daily. Indeed, we are confident that our law enforcement officers are equal to the task. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Honorable Premier. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Honorable Premier did mention about the 36 new vehicles that will be handed over to SABC, after this section here, we'll allow the Honorable Premier and the Lieutenant and the Majority and all of us to go out so that we can see those vehicles and be able to take photos and videos as well. With that said, may I please, by the show of hands, see who may have questions for the Honorable Premier.
And also the Project Commissioner.
Yes, and the General. We noted 1, 2, Mr. Mugaso. Are there any other hands, or we just only have those two? Okay, you may introduce yourself, then you pose a question.
Around inspections in different areas. We know that in Bamusi and Onyango in Dongoma, there's been quite an issue there. We were meant to meet with them last week, but that didn't happen. And we understand it's because the leadership of KZN refused for you to meet with the community without her being there. And now I see here that the Premier has indicated that there will be high police visibility in areas, and I assume that Nongoma means those areas as well. But beyond that, PC, we know that what they are asking for in essence is that they want the police minister to meet with them. What do you feel, some of the deeper issues there where they feel as though your efforts that you're making in that particular area are not enough?
Thank you. I will refuse.
The first one is for the previous letter, also from Eyewitness News. On the sexual offences, Inanda continues to top the chart, and this is one community that has also been the country's rape capital more than once. Where do you think, Premier, we are losing it as society in this regard? Because it would be one thing to say the police officers aren't doing anything, because if you look at the stats, it shows that these arrests have been made, thousands of arrests, but it seems as though this is a sketch that's not stopping. Where do you think we are losing it as society? And then Provincial Commissioner, one would say a loss of one police officer is too bad. In April, we buried Sergeant KwaZulu-natal who responded to calls of someone who was shooting randomly in the air. Upon arrival, he was shot and killed. Just this week, 2 police officers were shot and killed. What do you think gives this suspected criminal so much arrogancy to have the audacity to open fire at the police officers? But also, how can this be kept? Thank you.
Thank you so much. May I hand over to the General and then the Honorable Premier, please? The mics.
Thanks so much. Basically, in short, with regard to the situation of KwaNongoma, it is true that, as the Premier was saying, that the special focus is going to be in areas such as KwaNongoma in total, including Onyango and Gwamusi and the likes. So what we know that seems to be the biggest issues that communities are having, especially in the rural areas, is faction fights, family feuds. So the issue there, it started from the fight where a child was killed, a school-going child was killed, and from there it just snowballed until eventually quite a lot of people suffered because they were attacked. So the police have had made some good successes in terms of arrest and recoveries on most recent days. It is just unfortunate that NPO or whoever the group that they call themselves, they're representing the community of Gwamusi. They marched to the district office demanding the removal of a district commissioner who was hardly 2 months in the office, who has effectively arrested and recovered firearms in the area. And when we wanted to respond to that memorandum, which was in less than 2 days, we arranged a meeting and they didn't want to meet with us. And the leader is the one who said there can not be any meeting without her. So it made us wonder whether is it legitimate that march or not. So if they want to meet, they have a right to meet anyone. If they want to meet the minister, they're more than welcome. But we're not going to stop fighting crime in the area. So that is as far as Gwamusi is concerned. But they are not the only ones. We've got many other rural areas where we're having this problem of faction fights. With regard to Inanda, well, I'm sure the Premier will answer on the issues of why the problem persists in that area. But we've got our own assessment as we're on the ground working, and we look at the dire situation that people are facing on the ground, and perhaps the contributing factors that some of them the Premier spoke about, which continue to increase crime in our province. Until those issues are dealt with, we hope perhaps that the crime figures that we see is going to go down. In this past weekend, we lost 3 police officers, not only 2. So 2 of them were in Hammersdale policing area, and another one happened at Mbangeni, at King George district, and under Iskaleni policing area. So the unfortunate part is, as I always say, it's the war. There is a group of people in this province that are bloodthirsty. They don't care if they kill for them to get their way, whether they rob you and whether they rape, whatever they do, but they just don't bother. They will kill if they can. What disturbs us the most is that majority of these crimes, what we're experiencing as the police, is that are organized from beyond bars. There are those that are in prison. With the free access of people in prison, there's quite a lot of crimes we're dealing with that are organized by people that are in prison already. So it makes us wonder, as a security cluster, whether is really our prison helping or not. But it seems to be where they are educated to become even more present when they come out. So we're having a serious problem with that. What we are doing as a police is trying to equip our members with the skills, the survivor skills, and equip them with equipment that can protect them as they go out there to enforce the law, so that when they face those hardened criminals, they're able to fight back, because it's the war that we're busy with. And unfortunately, it's the war that is not waged against the citizens, but it's the war that we are taking to the criminals. So until the criminals and us reconcile, as we are reconciling on these few days, until we reconcile and we put arms down, perhaps maybe that we won't see many deaths from both sides. But at this present moment, there's quite a lot of them that we are arresting, but there are those few that don't want to go down without a fight. Unfortunately, they lose, we lose. We don't celebrate that. As I always say, a death of a person is not something to celebrate. Whether it's the criminal, whether it's the police officer, or a normal citizen, we should not have anyone dying being killed by someone, because our constitution doesn't allow that. So I guess that's just about it. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Honorable Premier.
Well, I will just touch on the first question of Gwamosi and at Nongoma and Onyango. I think the police, they've done good work there. I can confirm, because I sent the MEC for Kokta to try in his capacity as MEC for Kokta and the Prime Minister of the King to have the two sub-villages meeting. And after that, there were a number of arrests that were made by the police. And the report I received since then was that the killings stopped. I'm aware that they are complaining that a certain faction is arrested and the other faction is not arrested, of which is something which if there is information of any wrong doings, the police, I believe they will address it. And I'm still planning to also visit the area, because sending the MEC, I said, you must go first, I will follow you. I'm still planning to visit the area. I think on the other question, the Provincial Commissioner responded quite correctly, concise, on the factors that are a cause of these sexual offenses. I know that in the reflection that we'll receive from the police side is that the problem of alcohol use is an issue, because some of the cases, if not most of the cases, we find that they happen after they have been drinking together. And the issue of the drugs abuse is also one of the factors. But I think there is something that is lacking in our society, the community values. As you'll know, that historically men really respected women. And it's vice versa these days. It's no longer the case. Hence the issue of sustained community dialogue, which we believe will also try to mitigate the cases, and also the issue of the deployment of the activists on the GBV. As we are aware, will also mitigate on the number of the incidents that we are seeing. No, I actually felt I should only go to that extent, but I really commend the work that is being done by the police, because the fact that I was mentioning that as much as we have so many number of cases, but we see a number of arrests, and everyone is in agreement that they are doing good job under the leadership of the Provincial Commissioner in the province, and we are proud to have a Provincial Commissioner of the caliber of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi as the government of KwaZulu-Natal for the good work they are actually doing for our people. What is remaining or is left for us to actually do as the community is to stand up, collaborate with the police, report when there are incidents of a crime, so that the criminals will fear to commit a crime. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. May we have a last round if there are more hands that are coming up? Looks like we are covered. With that said, I'll hand over to the Honorable Premier to kindly conclude in Mrs. Zulu. We've got a request from some colleagues that as the Honorable Premier kindly summarize.
Okay. Cela ukuthi sibe nalesi sithanga namhlanje sibamsene nomkhuzi wamaphoyisa esifundazweni Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi nanenhloko yomnyango wa Safety and Liaising.
All right, so there you have it. Speaking there is Thami Ntuli, the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal. He's essentially rounding off that media briefing in isiZulu, which we know, of course, services a few people in KwaZulu-Natal. Really important briefing this as we usher in the festive season, taking stock of the levels of crime in that province. And a few statements have been made by both the Premier and the Provincial Commissioner in Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. For one, the Commissioner mentioning there that there's a group of people in KZN who seem to be bloodthirsty. He's essentially outlined that the SAPS is going to have a special focus on KwaNongoma, an area, of course, which has made it into the headlines for all the wrong reasons over the years. He says in that particular section of the province, there are what they're calling faction fights, family feuds, which sometimes turn deadly. The Premier also mentioning that, in fact, there are some people there who they know typically carry out revenge attacks during the festive season because they know that's when a lot of families gather. It's an incredibly sobering and concerning admission to be made, especially because many of us, of course, can cast our memories back to what happened earlier this year in Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape, where a family had been gathering and were mowed down, killing 18 people, the criminals that is, killing 18 people of the same family in what seemed to be a so-called revenge attack. Other news, though, from that briefing, we're told more than 600 additional officials will be deployed to a number of police stations in order to bolster the police's efforts to push back against crime. The Premier mentioning there that poor service delivery, the country's socio-economic conditions and high unemployment all contribute to crime in that particular province. And I suppose the same can be said about elsewhere in the country. He's also earmarked or outlined certain areas that they're going to be looking at outside of KwaNongoma, also Inanda, Umlazi, Ntuzuma and Verulam as well. So we're watching that story very closely. Today, of course, we're meant to hear of a handing over of a number of vehicles that are going to bolster the police's fleet in order, of course, to keep up with some of these criminals. And we're here to get some of those details around specifically that equipment. 11 million rand, we're told, is how much has been spent to get these additional cars. No overstating why it's important to watch the situation in KwaZulu-Natal. In the past, we know it's been prone to things like political violence, but generally very grotesque levels of criminality typically unfold in that province. And that's why we'll be watching it very closely throughout the course of this festive season.